Welcome to Gulfstream Park. It is December 17th, 2014. Christina Bossanakis here, joined by Ron Nicoletti. And Ron, we have another fantastic card. I'm telling you, I handicap, I sit down, I put on my handicapping cap, and there are some tough races in here, but good value, very good value.
Very good value today, and that makes the Rainbow Six more interesting, and you'll see it. Starts in race number 5, $114,000 plus in the pool. We have a fast main track, a firm turf course, a beautiful afternoon here in South Florida. And before we get started, I know that you went out to dinner last night. I heard through a little bird that you went to Frankie's Sports Bar.
I did go to Frankie's, and I have to say now this is the second time that I've been there, and the food is great. I had a steak which was spectacular. I really have to say that it was top quality, and also the chicken. It just, I think that their cuisine is great. You can also bet on the races, which I absolutely love. They have the great TVs up there, and you can go and you can also place your wagers, which is very important for me, even on our off times. But it's really a lot happening.
Well, it's right here in the village. If you're at Gulfstream Park today, it's right behind where we are. You got to stop by. It
on
is
the
fantastic.
South side parking lot.
Really nice, and all the beef is organic. We'll talk about it later on. I just know I heard my little spies telling me where you are at night, just checking you out. And I heard he's over at Frankie's sucking down a steak.
Sucking down a steak. Well, it was a good steak, so the little birdies, I don't know if they got that right, but it was a very good steak. So on to today's card, we do have 10 races on tap, and again, very, very good betting races, and several of them. I just saw in the first few races, we see my selections, your selections. We all go in different directions, and we'll start off with the first on the card, which is a starter optional claiming event. It's a claiming price $25,000. It is a 1.16 miles on the turf course, and we do have a jockey change, number 4, Jose Caraballo. And my top selection, number 2, La Chuchi. I went with the George Navarro runner. I think that this filly, 3-year-old filly, she'll be settling just off the pace, Ron. I think that last time, very, very easy win. I actually went back and I watched a couple of these races, and George Navarro actually has a couple of horses in this particular race. He also has number 9, Bossy Gal. Initially, I was going to go with Bossy Gal, but when I watched the videos of those last 2 races, this filly, La Chuchi, easy as can be, and I think the jump up, I think George is pretty good in placing them.
Well, I went with the 7, Shies Alley. This one dropping, as you mentioned, to this $25,000 optional claimer, having the misfortune of running into a superstar called Darren Cathy. That was in the grade 3 My Charmer handicap. Trainer is Bertrell Vaz. Keeps it light. He's got 7-pound apprentice. Tyler Gaffleone atop this 3-year-old daughter of 2 Shy Will Fly. So I just thought this was, the company line made me sort of lean towards number 7, Shies Alley, 3-1 on the morning line. I also used the number 8 horse in here. We're completely different almost in here, except for the 7. Well, 1 penny a piece. This one, 2 for 2 in the money on this course during March. Comes back. Local return, got bumped hard at the start, finished 4th. That was against $25,000 starter allowance company. It was up at Aqueduct. Phil Serpi, Javier Castellano in the saddle. I like this horse. I like the fact that it ran well here previously in March. So that made 1 penny piece.
You know, I included Shies Alley. I bumped into Bertrell yesterday, and I know that he was high on her. He thought she was going to run well, and I had her in there. 1 penny piece. I went back. I watched that last race. To me, at least from the angle that I was watching it, I didn't see the bump as being that big of a deal at the beginning, so I kind of demoted her, and that's why you don't see her on my ticket there. But we'll see. I just feel like she's been running even races. But that's going to be an interesting one, Ron. I think there are a lot of ways to go in there. We go on to the second race on today's card. It is a $35,000 claiming event, 1.16 miles on the turf course, and this kicks off the early pick 4. We do have a scratch number 8, a couple of jockey changes. Number 2 is Edgar Zayas, and number 7, Leandro Goncalves, and I went with the number 5, and that's Milwaukee Woman. This is from the Stronach Stables campaigns. This 4-year-old daughter, a Milwaukee Brew. She's dropping. I think that last race, Ron, her number came back, her thoroughgraph numbers came back as a pretty good one. That was at Woodbine. So I'm still undecided how the Woodbine, the horses shipping into Southern Florida, how they're going to stack up ultimately, but that's a pretty big drop, and I thought that was a pretty good race.
Well, I've been at Gulfstream Park for the last 212 years, it seems like, and usually the turf horses run true to form when they ship in from Woodbine. The main track is where you have some problems. You have to watch them race. So usually if you have good form on the turf course, it'll run. I want to show you a video of today. The horse is number 7, Cracking Good Pins. This one had a ton of trouble in it. We're going to go back to this last race and watch him. You'll see this is early on going up there. He's the 3 horses there. You'll see him right here. Just gets steadied back here. You know, it's got nowhere to go. And as the race progresses, he's stuck basically in that spot there. Then coming for home here, they're getting ready to come on the far turn. Once again, nowhere to go. Keeps getting steadied in the race. He only gets beat 3.5 lengths in the race after all of that stuff. So I just thought he was a logical choice. He was also steadied soon after the start of the race, too. A clean trip. I think the class release should really help this daughter of City Zip. So number 7, Cracking Good Pins. A little bit of a trouble call on top of my ticket. The number 3, Al's Gal. And by the way, the jockey changes on the 3, Al's Gal, not the 2. And that'll be Edgar Prado today for Dave Brady. I threw him in second. I got number 9, Tres Hermanas. I thought I love saying that name.
You did. I also threw in number 2 in their Aesthetic, and then from the Bobby Robato barn. A little bit unclear in that last one, Ron. It didn't come back as a really fast time up at Aqueduct. It was on a good turf course, so there was moisture in it. So again, a little bit of a question mark. I did throw her up there because I think Bobby Robato does a very good job. He spots them pretty well. So I threw her into my top selections.
Well, we're certainly not in agreement.
No, we usually aren't, at least early on the card. On to the third race on today's card. It is a 30,000 claiming event, and it is 6 furlongs on the main track. And again, we have a scratch number 8. And number 6 is the jockey change, Edgard Zayas. You see, that's why you're here. You keep me honest.
Right. Edgard Zayas. We got a lot of jockey changes today, so make sure your pencils are sharpened. A couple of jocks were involved in the spill. Yes, you know, it's all different, the reasoning. We'll try and find out later on through the day, but nobody's seriously injured or anything like that. Right. So a lot of jock changes today. We'll keep you abreast of that. And, of course, Larry Comas will be here in a little while. He'll update you on everything that's going on at Gulfstream Park. Are we in agreement here, at least? No, we're not.
No, no, we're not. I went with Remarkable Teresa. I went from the Jane Sibeli barn, and last time impressive. I thought it was a pretty good, solid winner coming back. I'm looking for a second repeat, and that was coming back off a layoff too. So I'm expecting with Jane Sibeli, she does really well, especially with those horses coming back second off the layoff.
Yeah, I got her on my ticket too for all those reasons. I mean, basically we have our exacta flip-flop. I went with the 6 Gumara on top, back in South Florida, dropping into this $35,000 condition claimer. Returned from an almost 5-month layoff to finish second, but that was against $75,000 optional claimers across town at Gulfstream Park West. Then she ships to Delta Downs and gets parked 5 wide on that bull ring and finishes 5th. That's in the $75,000 Orleans. The obvious question to me is why the drop in competition? You know, sent to the Delta Downs, coming back, but basically it's either the 6 or the 4, or the 4 or 6 as far as I see. And I used the 7 Sherry Angel, 7 for 11 in the money on this track. Albeit all 4 of those were third place finishes, but likes this surface.
And looking ahead to the 4th race on the card, there's just one jockey change in there, and that's the number 2 Hanover Honey. Will be ridden by Edgar Prado. It's a 35,000 maiden claimer, a mile on the main track. And my top selection in here, I went with number 2 again. We flip-flopped our top 2 selections. I went with Hanover Honey, a 2-year-old daughter of Quality Road. Quality Road, his numbers are really, really good with his first-time starters. And Marcus Vitale, his numbers are fair for his first-time starters. So I thought I would take a shot here because the Quality Roads, they run pretty well first time out.
Yeah, and I wrote my analysis today that's in the program, of course, each and every day. That, you know, watch the tote action on this horse because usually if it's serious, it'll go well. So I just put that in there. But I went with, you know, like you said, we're a flip-flop. I went with the 6 Majestic Masquerade in top. Drop into this $35,000 level. Faced tougher in her 3 previous races, which includes that recent 4th place finish behind a stakes caliber horse called Eskin for Money. That was in a 1-mile maiden test here just last Wednesday. So keying off that, the trainer is Sal Santoro. Josie Gomez in the saddle. And if you like Sal Santoro, he's also got another horse in here, and that's the 5 Tormenta del Oro. And I have that one on my my ticket too.
So the quick turnaround doesn't bother you, that coming back in
Not 7 days.
Okay.
Yeah, a little bit, but not, if it was 4 days, yes. I've never been successful. Anybody coming back in short rest, if I pick that horse, they usually don't win.
Yeah, with 2-year-olds sometimes that's a big reason why I didn't put her on top. But we'll see later on this afternoon. We'll have to also see them in the flesh. You know how I like to watch them in the paddock. We are going to take a short break, folks. We'll come back. We'll have a look at the 5th race on the card that kicks off the 20-cent Rainbow Six.
Gulfstream Park is one of Florida's top entertainment destinations, mixing restaurants, clubs, a casino, and international boutique shops with world-class racing. In a lavish, sun-drenched setting with the feel of a Mediterranean village, Gulfstream is a leading year-round entertainment and tourist destination and the home of luxury residences in 2014. The Stronach family, owners of Gulfstream Park, is committed to the sport of thoroughbred racing and the grace, spirit, and generosity of the horse.
The Rainbow Six is back and it's better than ever. Now with a 20-cent base wager, it will expand the market for the popular bet. And in addition to doubling the base wager, the percentage return for the winners on the day the jackpot isn't hit increases to 70%, with 30% going to the carryover pool for the next program. Gulfstream Park, first post, 12:35 p.m. each and every day.
Welcome back to Gulfstream Park, and we are going to look at the 5th race on today's card. And Ron, that kicks off the 20-cent Rainbow Six?
It is Rainbow Six time in the 5th race. We do have 3 scratches, the 5, 8, and 11. We have over $114,000 in the jackpot pool. So if you can hit it today, 20 cents. You're going to come down with a lot of money. Only 5 out of 6 yesterday, I believe, paid around $800. So even if there's 5 out of 6, it pays great. This bet, to hit the whole single ticket is a dream. But if you get 6 out of 6 or 5 out of 6 some days when it's hard, you get a really nice payoff, and it's only a 20-cent wager. With that said, we're finally in agreement with our top horse, the one, Hammers Terror.
Yeah, that's trained by Brian Lynch, and Brian Lynch had a win on yesterday's card, and Julien Leperoux gets back aboard, and I just think that this 5-year-old horse, I think he fits. You look at his race a couple of starts back. He did have a little bit of problems. He had some issues earlier on in that race, a couple starts back, but last time at Churchill, I thought that was a good race. He was beaten a couple of lengths, but I think that he's going to be in it here today. What about, I also threw in there number 2, and that's St. Pierre. I see that you don't have St. Pierre on your ticket, but dropping. I think a considerable drop here, and I think should move forward up.
Yeah, and I like the price of that one, 12-1. We both used the number 3, Live Enjoy. This one now in the Dave Brady bond. This is son of Kitten's Joy, who defeated $40,000 claimers at Saratoga on September 1st, and now returning to the claiming ranks after failing to earn a check. But that was in a pair of $62,000 optional claimers going a mile on the Belmont turf. This is a 6-year-old. He's reunited with jockey Javier Castellano, who was aboard for that victory at Saratoga. So Javier knows the horse. Number 3, Live Enjoy on a ticket. We both has Hammers Terror. I lost my 3rd horse in here, which was a 10th Star, the 8 horse, and they threw in the 9 Schoolhouse. You get a pretty fair price, and I just thought this horse loves the turf. He's a 7-time winner on the turf. But I like your drop down too.
So a couple of horses. I would say I would probably use 3 in here. And how many would you use in here?
I would go the least the top 2, your 2, and maybe this 9 horse. Just Luis Saez riding. That horse just loves the turf. And you got to have a couple of horses that pay a price. You don't want to go, there's a place and a time to single. This is not it.
Yeah, I love that. Underscored by Mr. Ron Nicoletti. On to the 6th race on today's card, which kicks off the pick 5. There is a scratch number 9. We do have a jockey change number 11, and that's Gabriel Saez. It is a 6-furlong event. It is a 10,000 claiming test. And I went with number 1. Hey, look, we're in agreement again. This is shocking.
Wow, this is starting to happen. See, as the races got a little more formful, we started to get a little more formful.
That's right. Number 1, Old Army, my top selection in here. And a winner last time is dropping for Marcus Vitale. And we've got Irad Ortiz Jr., very well known on the New York circuit.
He's been riding great form all year long.
He really is. He's a top rider in New York, and that drew me. That was a big factor of why what drew to him.
Now I don't know what did you mention at the scratch of the number 9 in here, Rezzo Rizzo?
I did.
You did mention Rezzo Rizzo, and out of one of my favorite movies of all time, and I'm walking over here. Rezzo Rizzo was part of the movie, and I just thought I'd mention that.
Okay,
I don't know why.
I like
and
it.
I went with Olam, Sweet Rockin' Man in second. He's going to try $10,000 claim. Is going 3/4. 10 previous races at this distance, 2 wins, a second and a third after finishing second. Midnight Cowboy. Couldn't think of the name of the movie. Midnight Cowboy. Couldn't think of the name of the movie. This one we mentioned, one of the jockey changes on the 11. Gabe Saez will be riding the number 11, Sweet Rockin' Man, who we both have on our ticket.
What did you do? I see that you left off number 7, Dad's Laugh, and a bit of for me, a huge question mark. Because if he ran back to some of it, he was a stakes caliber horse at one time. His last couple of starts, there are a few red flags for me in terms of, so I said, you know what, I threw him on my ticket. I was almost inclined to say either you go with him to win or you don't use him at all. I see you didn't use him at all, but what was your reason?
I just didn't think, I think he's the morning line favorite. I don't want that into my pick 6 or my Rainbow 6 or my pick 5 ticket. But, if he jumps up and wins, wouldn't surprise me at all. So I'm interested to see how the betting is on that horse when the smoke clears. I threw in the 8 favorite Catches, cutting back to sprint in the dirt. Showed speed in a trio of route races on the Gulfstream Park West turf. Trainer Jane Sabelli, she's pretty good with turf to dirt. Has Joel Rosario in the saddle, and I'm a sucker for turf to dirt. Turning back, so that went there. But to answer your question, Dad's Laugh, if the horse won, I wouldn't be shocked at all. I'm not going to use it, but...
Yep. On to the 7th race on the card. It is a maiden special weight. Now, it's for Florida breds, 2-year-old fillies. It's 5.5 furlongs on the main track. We do have one jockey change, number 9. Brightly Mine will be ridden by Joe Bravo. And the 7th race, it does kick off the late pick 4. This is exciting to me. You know how I love the baby races, and it's particularly this one. We have a couple of really interesting horses in here. I did go with number 3, Wildcat Gaze. We'll start off there. Wildcat Air. I'm very fond of the sire, especially with his 2-year-olds. Fast, precocious. Took money in her debut, and let's take a look at that race. Now, Ron, she had issues.
Right.
Coming out of the gate, we're watching her right here, and all right.
So Jock almost went down.
Yeah, so she had a series, and especially with these babies making their first, second starts, they're inexperienced. That can rattle them. She didn't run terribly, I thought. I'm hoping for a better performance here. And again, all the other everything else in terms of lines up for me.
Yeah.
So that's in the direction I went.
Yeah, we talked about this horse yesterday, and I saw the video, and I'm going to use her. I did not use her on my ticket, but I'm going to go back and use her. But I did use the 4-horse Tar and Feather. This is a full sister to $1.9 million earner. Awesome Feather debut for Stanley Gold. I love the work that Stanley Gold does with all his horses. A trio of solid workouts over the track showing in preparation for the debut. But a first-time starter, so a little bit of a guess.
Well, for those of you who will recall, Awesome Feather, she won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies, top-class 2-year-old, and also Awesome, of course, he's a Florida stallion. He's pretty good with his first-time starters. Overall, he's about 15%, so I had her on my ticket as well. We have to talk about number 5.
No, we have to talk about this is the horse you
Yes, La Mosquette. We have from the Jose Garofalo barn. Now, Jose Garofalo had a winner the other day, Sky Gold, a first-time starter that won impressively. Now, he told me that day, and of course I neglected to listen to him, that filly had been training with this particular filly, and this filly had been out working that other filly, Sky Gold, that won the other day. This filly's been out working her. Now, Musket Man, I didn't have her on top initially. Musket Man, young stallion, first crop. He doesn't have any winners thus far, so that kept me out of putting her in the first spot. But she's been training great.
Yeah, so I mean, we also talked about that yesterday, but I had already done my analysis, but that's a good angle there. And, from the trainer. So I want to mention the number 6 in here, Fast Action, making her local debut for trainer Peter Walder after showing early interest. Fading, that was a pair. We talked about this, sprints on the synthetic surface at Presque Isle, not at Woodbine, but another one there. But Walder's pretty good with new additions to his barn, 26%. He's got Johnny Velasquez in the saddle, and it's his birthday.
Aha.
Happy birthday to Peter Walder.
Happy
and here's
birthday.
the key. He's not Bill Mott. Bill Mott always wins a race on his birthday. Let's see if Peter Walder can do that. So number 6, Fast Action for Peter Walder Barn. And I just think I really respect the work that he does. You know, first time in his barn. So we'll see if number 6, Fast Action, get on. But you heard about all these great different angles we have in this race. You got to go deep here.
And Montbrook, you would think the sire, you would think that they can run on the dirt as well. So that's a pretty good angle, not ankle. Angle.
And a pretty good ankle.
And a pretty good ankle. On to the 8th race on the card. And we do have one scratch, and that's number 1, Loon River. And it is an allowance optional claiming event with a claiming price of $75,000, a mile and a 16th on the turf course. I went with the number 8, Miss Temple City from the Graham Motion Barn. Now, first time going a route of ground. Temple City, the stallion, he is a young stallion, Ron. So, again, we're still determining what's going to be his niche and how his horses are going to run. But this filly's coming from Laurel. She ran 5.5 furlongs. I think came back as a pretty good number as well. And with Graham's horses, you expect they're going to move forward.
Yeah, and it was a game performance, too, in that race.
Yeah.
And the reason I don't have her on top is because of the first thing you mentioned, that the first time going around the ground. But I'm definitely not going to leave her off the ticket. I went with another horse that you have. We're basically in agreement with our trifecta, just flip-flop. I went with the 4, Magnificent Margot. We'll try these $75,000 option claimers after following her maiden debut sprinting on the Saratoga turf course, or with an ambitious outing, I thought, in the $100,000 P.G. Johnson and the Grade 3 Jessamine at Keelan. I just think this horse is spotted perfectly today.
And we both threw in number 9, and that's Backflip from the Todd Pletcher barn, and this is a daughter of Super Saver. On to the 9th race on today's card. We have a scratch at number 11, a couple of few jockey changes. Number 2, Bluegrass Singer, Edgar Prado. Number 5 is going to be Luca Panici, and number 10, Jesus Rios.
We got one late one, too.
Oh.
The number 3 horse, John Velasquez.
You see how you throw things in on me
well,
like
that came late. Before you, as I was walking to the set, we got that from Larry Comer. So
excellent.
We got a bunch of jockey changes. And, of course, Scratch 11, loved the name of this horse, Dukin with Dale. If you know about horse racing, you know how that horse got its name.
Yeah. On back to the race, and number 1 was my selection, and that's Savoy Stomp, and this is $875,000 at the Fasig-Tipton Saratoga. That's the sale up at Saratoga in the summer. Nice winner, first time out. Last time, not so good, but that was in the mud going a mile. I don't think the distance is going to be a problem for me. Todd Pletcher takes a horse breaking his maiden and puts him back in a graded stakes race. He thinks that this horse can win. This is the direction that I went with, and in fact, his stablemate won that day, Blofeld. Post I don't love, but that's where I went.
Yeah, I went with the number 6, Fermento. Do we have a video we want to show in here?
We do. We have Mr. Marcus Vitale, who has another horse that I used in my selections, number 2, Bluegrass Singer, and who last time finished a pretty good 3rd, I thought, behind It's Not Me, Brother Bobo, who's a sibling, a half-sibling to Rebo Bobo, and we'll just take a look at what he had to say.
Say that again, Rebo Bobo?
He's doing really good. The horse is, of course, a pretty nice 2-year-old. I think off the last race, I think he'll be coming into this race really sharp. I think he'll be really close up front, maybe even on the lead. He's a pretty neat horse to train. He's doing everything right now, and we're just hoping for a push forward in this race.
Marcus Vitale?
That was Marcus Vitale, Bluegrass Singer. I think he's going to be a nice horse going forward. And Ron, you used number 6, Fermento. Again, this horse, his numbers fit from Nick Zito's.
Yeah, and you know what I like? He shows back-to-back bullet workouts at Palmettos in preparation for first start since rallying to finish 4th. That was a $75,000 optional claimer going a mile in the 16th at Churchill Downs. I think the turn back to a mile is a perfect move for this combination of trainer Nick Zito and Luis Saez. So I like the fact that this horse is working bullets over our training facility, Palmetto. So I put Fermento on top of my ticket. Got Savoy Stomp, on top of my ticket for all the reasons that you mentioned. And I also used the number 7, Glenville Gardens, who's really been knocking heads with some tough customers.
Yeah, all the same horses. And again, I just have to go Savoy Stomp. Apparently, I'm not mad at Todd Pletcher again today like I was yesterday. So I'm hoping for a win there. On to the 10th and final race on the card. It is a $50,000 maiden claiming event. It is a mile on the turf course, a scratch number 13, My top selection, number 7, Leroy Rose, and this is a 2-year-old daughter of Leroy des Animaux. Leroy des Animaux, such a versatile stallion. They can run on the dirt, as we saw with Animal Kingdom, winner of the Kentucky Derby. They can run on the turf. His numbers are very, very good. I was going to give this horse a shot.
I went with the 11 Violinist, Bluegrass Special, and just too perfect for my getaway trifecta. I'm going to go back and look at your horse in here to see if I'll use it on there. And the sire, you know, one of the great turf sires. So I'm going to use it. Scratch the 13. Did we say that? Fish and chips. How could you not say fish and chips? And that reminds us. Anything else before we head out of here?
I don't really know. I think we covered everything.
Well, here's one. The fish and chips reminded me of Frankie's Sports Bar. We want to remind you again, you got to try this place out. It's just opened yesterday, actually. So
I've already been there twice.
You've been there twice. She went one day when nobody else was allowed. You know, the big hoi polloi went in there. But you got to go to Frankie's Sports Bar. It's right in here. And as Christina mentioned, great food. You can bet on the races there, which is fantastic. And it's literally, I could throw a rock and hit it from here. So if you're at Gulfstream Park, you have to come and visit Frankie's Sports Bar each and every day.
Each and every day. And that's it. And that's it for now. Ron and I will be back. Larry Colmus is just going to come on in just a minute to give you all the scratches and changes. But stick around, folks. Great day on tap.